Hey guys, Mark with Think Insurance, and today we're going to talk about the industry of insurance, whether it's worth getting into or you should just back off now. Because there's a lot of talk and a lot of topics around these new companies and these tech companies that are hitting the radar, and people are thinking that this could potentially disrupt the market completely. Let's dive right into it. So we've got Tesla. We've got everybody's doing some sort of automation, autonomous vehicles where they're starting to drive themselves and they're starting to park themselves. They're starting to know whether there's somebody in the blind spots, things like that. And it's pretty cool to see. And I really want one of them. So I'm going for my crappy car right now. I'm waiting about a year, and then I'm hopefully getting something that is autonomous, and I'll be able to actually use that feature. I'm excited for it. A lot of people think, as being an insurance channel and creating these videos on YouTube, that, oh my gosh, he's just afraid to lose his job to this. I'm not. I'm actually excited to see this stuff happen. And so there's not really a fear there. So the question that people ask me all the time is, there's this InsurTech that's going out into the industry, and is that going to replace the agents? So I'm taking a little bit of a snippet from a company called Westfield. I actually just listened to their most recent podcast. If you're in insurance, they do some really good podcasts. I'll try to link it below so you have access to that. But what they did is they interviewed a few people, and there's this lady that worked for in the insurance industry for years. She worked for independent agents. She's currently with a large company, which they didn't name, but she's been with Westfield as well. So she's really been around, I think, several decades, a little bit more than myself. I'm about 10 years, almost 11 years into the industry. Well, she basically worked through this. And what she said is, at the end of the day, the tech doesn't have the personal touch. And she kind of debated that back and forth, because we're comparing it to our kids. So the kids and our kids' kids, even, where they're like, Mom and Dad, why do I have to do all this? Why do I have to get insurance this way? I don't understand why it's so difficult. All these other apps, just click a couple buttons and you're done. Well, the insurance industry is not fast moving on the tech part, partially because they're trying to make it seamless, but they're also trying to avoid fraud. And by doing those two, there's a big conflict between them. At the end of the day, from what I've seen so far, it actually makes me more valuable that people are buying policies through the InsurTech systems. Not that they're bad or wrong, they're really good and they're moving us forward in the industry, but they don't give you advice. If you've ever watched my Lemonade insurance video or my Root insurance video, or any of the ones that actually use that technology really heavily, they eliminated the agents. The problem that they keep running into is they gear it towards what they want. What we call almost like a bullying. They don't necessarily bully it. That's the legal term for an insurance agent, is where you kind of force somebody to buy a specific coverage or a specific policy. They kind of hurt it or lead it to the way they think it should be done. And that's rightfully so. Each company has their own guidelines and what they're expecting. The problem is, when you get into some of what we call the confident planners, which is myself, I'm homeowner, have a couple of vehicles, some young kids, things like that. I've got a family, right? I've got stuff to lose, and I'm not looking for just a basic policy. When you lean towards that person, those recommendations from the quotes I've done have been really low. And when I say low, several $100,000 less liability than what I would like to cover. So I'm covering my butt because I don't want to get sued and lose my income or my future income. That's the problem I think we're running into. If they can tweak some of those things and still make it seamless while still getting able to fight off the fraud, I think that they may have a shot. The problem is, mixing those two together is very, very far off. Partially because the companies have to adopt it. Let's take Snapshot, for example. It's working really good with Progressive. I'm actually in the test run of it right now. I'm actually almost at the end. I'm excited. And they do like a trial period, just like Root Insurance does. So they let you drive first. You don't even have to join them. You're just part of their company. You can do the test drive. I'll put the link below if you want it. But they'll let you do a 30-day test run, and then they'll show you your discount before you do anything. Don't even have to fill out a quote. And so they'll let you run through that system and then show you the prices that you can get off first. And then you can quote them and see other discounts that you can apply for. Now that leads somebody into their online portal. So Progressive has followed that same suit that Root and all these other companies are, because they're smart. They want to meet the customer where they're at. And if the customer wants no interaction with an agent, they can do that. The thing that I think that I'm afraid of is not the companies doing well with it, because I think they're going to do great, is when they take the agent out of it, they lose the advice. They don't know the person's lifestyle. They don't know the person, what they need and what they should have. They're not looking at the condition of a home. They're not collecting the photos and analyzing them. They're not doing their due diligence to make sure that this is a good risk or it isn't a good risk. So on the negative, they're going to take in some business that they shouldn't take in. And that's not necessarily fraud. It's basically them losing out because they're going to have claims that they shouldn't have, which will adjust and raise the rates for people. Same thing when they have an agent. If the agent is shady, that's another thing. It's kind of the same thing. So with that being said, with those systems in place, it's kind of interesting to see where this is all going in the future. Now, the next 10 years, I think is going to be very interesting. What I personally think is going to happen is the autonomous vehicles are going to take a big leap, even though I'm hearing that Tesla's doing a bunch of recalls and whatnot. Have no clue what they are on. I'm assuming it's on some sort of automation system or whatever it is. Maybe you can let me know in the comments below, because I didn't research it. But those things are going to become a little bit of a scary piece. Every time something like that goes wrong, that's going to push you out several years from wanting to do that. GM is actually known to have a better autonomous system, or at least a more accurate system, than most of the other companies. So they're doing really good with that. At the end of the day, what I'm trying to get to the point is there is going to be a little bit of a take from the agents when we do go autonomous and we do go app created and we do go taking the agent out of the mix. And what could possibly happen as a negative effect is we could become more of a call center system. Part of doing that that's going to scare me is the training. As long as the companies do well training, which they don't typically do very well even today, as many of you have commented in my comments below, they're just too busy. They don't have time to give you a book or a manual or a direction and a course, which is something that I'm creating for my current company and for you guys as well on a separate piece, that you can go through and learn the basics and learn how the talking paths are, understanding what the customer's needs and wants are. So those things are going to be possible for you to learn, which leads me to believe that you're in a good spot. Here's the thing. There's a couple things that people don't realize. Yes, I think autonomous things are going to take a piece of the market. They're going to probably take, in the next 10 years, I would say 20% of the market. That's just the number I'm making up. But also, I think that you have a way, way bigger chance of being profitable in this industry, mainly because of the baby boomers. They're retired or retiring, and the generation below them are getting to be within a decade of retiring. So if you're just starting off in insurance, this is the perfect time to join, because what's happening is they're starting to realize they're done. They're ready to go on vacation and go on cruises. They've made their million or millions of dollars, and they're ready to pass it on to someone else. So there's going to be a lot of agents selling their books to different companies and different people. What's going to in turn happen is people are going to shop, because not everybody likes to be pushed off to another company. You're naturally probably going to lose about 10% of your business just pushing it from one person to the other. On top of that, they just can't service it all. They're not used to it. So as these books shift around in the next decade, there's going to be a lot of opportunities for people to come into the market and take a big chunk of those customers. So do I think it's a really good time to start being an insurance agent? Absolutely. I think this is one of the best times. If you guys want to keep informed on that, definitely subscribe. This is my channel where I will go over these every Thursday, more for the agents. If you guys are interested in getting more specific training or teaching, or if I do launch a course and you want to be part of that, you can go below and I'll put a link there to like a newsletter that I'm creating that will go out to different agents specifically. More importantly, let me know what you think. Do you guys think that this is a viable industry that's still going to grow? Or do you think it's something that's going to die off? Or if you're an agent, what are your thoughts? What are your pain points? What are you noticing that you're losing or winning with? I'd love to hear about it below. I'm Mark with Think Insurance. I will see you in the next one.